In the darkest corners of the universe, where the light stops to a crawl and where sound cannot escape, where time stops working entirely and eventually things in existence stop making sense. Chaos is an inevitable force on our world and our lives, so we've made great efforts to contain it within this space for only an hour a week. This is the Chaos Continuum.
In 10 minutes I won't be ready, but for the short period of those 10 minutes I will be ready.
Always on time. Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Thank you for tuning in. Ben, go for it. Go for the intro.
Oh, dude. Are we recording now? Should we start? I'm going to assume we started, and this is the, welcome back to the Chaos Continuum podcast, where we talk about nonsensical shit, and fucking, I don't know, bro, we got a guest on for the, what, this is like our 10th episode?
This is number 11, I think.
This is number, no, I can't know what this number is. But yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's number 11.
I kind of got put on the spot here. We've got our homeboy, Steven, the Chiseled Jaw Man, with us today to, I don't know what we're talking about.
Today is the first.
Dude, what a great intro.
Hello and welcome everybody for tuning into the Chaos Continuum podcast. Once again, episode 11. We are here joined by our good friend Steven, also known as the Chiseled Smile. He has, I don't know what you call it, modeled a few different branded t-shirts for free. And he's a gamer, like the rest of us.
He's such a gamer. He's more of a gamer than I am.
Just about. Steven, would you like to take a moment and tell everyone what you're about, who you are?
Hi, I am the Chiseled Smile, a failed Instagram model. You could go follow me if you want. I'm not gonna post anytime soon.
It'll be in the description. I'll make sure of that. So right before we were talking, I just want to dive right into this because it kind of perplexed me. You said you're going through puberty part 2, Steven.
Yeah, I'm going through puberty again. So what's going on is I started going to the gym recently. It's been about 4 months. I've had some good progress with it and stuff like that, but I started developing acne again, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So that was fun. It started to spread on my face, and then there was a point in time where I was complaining that I couldn't grow facial hair. I couldn't grow any facial hair at all. And now I have to shave every day, otherwise I have a weird, dark upper lip. It's annoying.
That's how it is, man. That's how it's when you got, I don't know what it is. I don't remember what it started for me, probably about a year ago. My facial hair kind of went out out of control, and now it's a forest. But, one day it'll even out. You'll get there, and you'll feel good about it.
Hopefully.
And until then, it's just awkward and kind of weird looking. But you just gotta let it grow into itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, I had another thing that's new for me is I will be turning 21 in less than a month, and I feel like I'm gonna start going on a bender. I'm gonna take after Ben's example and become just super alcoholic and lose myself every weekend. And I don't know, I just wanted to throw that out there. What's your experience with the alcohols, or your what do you call it, advice for people coming into it, whether they're
in a radio talk show? What the fuck is happening?
So I turned 21 about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I had a good time. I was out with my parents because my parents were cool as fuck. Take somebody you can drink with, and then take a designated driver. That's what I would do.
See, that's where old people come in handy, because they fucking they don't do anything fun. But yes, Ben, this is a radio talk show now because he left the call. yes, Ben, this is a radio talk show now because I don't know, there's nothing else fucking going on here. You're not helping.
Try a rum and coke. Those are pretty fucking good.
Rum and coke, there you go. I gotta try it. I've only ever had Jack Daniels and Coke, hypothetically, theoretically, in Minecraft. Ben, do you have anything to add to the alcohol discussion?
Okay, so I'm gonna be totally true here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I made my one comment, and the rest of it just, dude, it felt like I was drunk. Yeah, you know.
You're already blacking out in the podcast.
Yeah, I'm already blacking out. You know, I mean, like, okay, like, what are my experiences with liquor, or like when I first turned 19? Because over here, when you turn 19, that's when you're legally allowed to drink.
Oh,
okay?
it's 19, not 18 in Canada?
It's 18. It's 18 in Alberta. It's 19 in Saskatchewan. It varies where you are. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of the times when we turn 18, a lot of us will go out to Alberta, which is the province to the left of us.
Yeah, and then it's legal.
Or to the right of us. Depending, it's totally legal, right? So you get shit-faced out in Alberta, and you have to figure out a way to get home.
Yeah.
But I don't know, dude. I think when I can't remember what I was doing when I turned 19. I was probably already drunk, let's be real here.
This is the way.
I don't know, man. I remember turning 19. Yeah. I know what I did for my 18th birthday.
You could...
I bought my first pack of cigarettes, you know?
Yeah. I love how, like, when we say we're gamers, we mean it. Because then when I bring up the subject of alcohol and what we do when we drink, it is just the quietest, most reserved, most, like, completely boring discussion about rum and coke.
I can get into it. I can get into the shit that I've done when I drink. Yeah?
Yeah.
Like,
well, come on. You go out there. You gotta prove to people like Spyro that you're not a virgin.
Dude,
come on.
I have done some wild shit. Dude,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not. You guys hear my child. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could still,
well, your least favorite white dad isn't a brand, it's a statement. You know?
Yeah.
I am your least favorite white dad. I've done some wild shit when I'm drinking. I used to party a lot and do shit like that and fucking, I don't know, bro. Remember taking a walk in the middle of the night drunk as shit, hanging out with homeless people. You know what I mean?
If you're lucky, on my 21st, I had a shit ton of shots bought for me. I think I had like 6 shots bought for me that night.
You didn't even have to buy it.
Dude, I bought everybody else.
I already know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna buy the biggest bottle of like Jack Daniel's honey that I could find, and just go through that in a weekend.
Yeah. Are we gonna get drunk together? Is that what's gonna happen over the?
I can do that. I can
podcast.
So
I
took. I'll say this now. We can do it for the podcast, and I took a week off of work for the week right after I turned 21. I will stream every single day of that week and get drunk as fuck with you playing. I don't know. I guess God of War. No, Starfield will be out. We could play Starfield drunk.
We could play
for a week straight.
Shit,
be there whenever this podcast comes out. Probably 2 weeks.
Be there or be fucking square, you stupid virgins.
Yeah, be there or be a PlayStation player. You goddamn fucking virgins. Like, come on.
True. I don't know. Like,
so
my experience with drinking is all over the place. So
yeah, that's also a new thing that's come out. I don't think anyone here has touched it, right? Starfield.
No. I've been waiting for you to play it. Yeah.
I'm waiting for it to come out on Game Pass because right now it's only like the pre-order early access shit.
True, dude. True.
So
Starfield
I think
fucking sucks.
It doesn't look that great. It looks like Fallout but in space, which is exactly what I expected. But like, I keep seeing like really, really hardcore Xbox fanboys being like, Starfield is the greatest game of the generation. It's redefined RPGs, and I'm like, it looks like Fallout 4 and kind of a little bit like Other Worlds. Like it goes the right direction of like taking some classical RPG things, like having your different background and all these different skill trees and stuff, like you had in New Vegas and whatever. But it's not remaking anything. Like it's just Fallout in space. It's kind of like No Man's Sky meets Fallout in a way, in a lot of ways.
So speaking of games and shitty games. What is your least favorite game? What's one game that you've played and you're like, man, I fucking hated playing that?
Oh shit!
And why is it Dead by Daylight?
That's a good question.
That's a good answer right there. That's
a good answer. What I will say is I am fucking playing through Resident Evil 6 right now, a notoriously bad game. But I'm doing it with my friend Angelo, so we're just shitting it.
Dude, you're like a hardcore Resident Evil fan too. For you like to even like shit on it after that.
It's awful. It's so.
See, terrible. To me, a bad game is a game that I can't even like finish. Like for me, that was Saints Row, the new one that came out last year. Yeah. Because I started playing it and I couldn't get past like the first chapter or whatever because it was just so boring and I just couldn't continue with it.
See, like I know when a game is bad for me when I can't even entertain myself.
Yeah, when you can't have, you
Like, I'll
can't
play
even have fun with it.
Like I'll play shitty games and I do stupid stuff to entertain myself because I know it's that bad. Like that specific game we don't talk about.
Yeah,
The one that shall not be named.
I'll give
that-
it credit from episode 1. Like, it's not a bad game necessarily. It's just, it could be better.
I think it fucking sucks. I mean, but any game could be better, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like if there's a game that I just can't even play, like in a way that I can't even be stupid with it, entertain myself, right? Like if Fallout 4 didn't have mods, I think that the game would be horrendous, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's like what I've told everyone. Like, every time I like get into a talk with someone about Starfield, I say that same thing. Like, Starfield will be fun with mods, but it's not going to be a good game. And every time somebody like will tell me like, no, it's not true.
Oh, that's
It'll
grandma.
be a really good game, and it's like, I don't know where people are getting all this hope from, but it's
Yeah,
just
like,
not there.
It's kind of it's weird because it's this whole like, what's a Bethesda game, so it's gonna be good. I also find it funny that they say the creators of Fallout 4 and Skyrim because 76 is a game that they just don't want to remind people that they made.
It's just they just keep clear of it. I'm excited to play it in a little bit, but I also think it's going to be buggy and shit. Like,
It's kind of like,
to me, it'll be
Sorry.
like a buggy wasteland, but it won't like other games that have come out that were buggy, like Cyberpunk. At least Cyberpunk had a good story and like a good atmosphere, and it was unique and creative. Starfield does not look like it has that.
and with Cyberpunk, 'cause I played that on day one, right? A lot of the bugs didn't like. Some of it was just funny, yeah,
Yeah,
but it wasn't like.
for me, it was
Like,
less
after
bugs and
playing-
more just the performance of it was poor on like old gen consoles.
And I think for me, after playing 76 on day one, right?
It's night and day.
I go back and I look at stuff like that, yeah, and I'm like, dude, nothing get worse than that, right?
Yeah,
There are some games I've played where it's like it being co-op has saved like the experience for me, and I've been able to play it because it was co-op. But even 76, for example, even with friends, it's terrible.
it's just
It is
boring.
so
Oh no,
boring.
it's so.
It's such a drag.
It's so bad. I think it might be fun, like how it is now as a single player game, if it had more story to it, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a whole can of fucking worms because it's like it's one of those games that it has the ability to be really good. If Todd Howard didn't feel the need to smoke crack and release Skyrim every Wednesday,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. What was the other one I was
So
thinking
wait.
of?
So actually, this is an important question I asked Steven. Steven, how do you feel about Skyrim? Because over here we don't like that game. You know?
Yeah, this would be a hot
Skyrim,
take.
like-
I think Skyrim is way overrated just because of the mods.
I think there's like a big like objectively bad game underneath everything. But there is
Yeah.
like a way of like nostalgia for me when it comes to playing it because I played it when I was young.
See, and maybe that's why I don't enjoy the game because I've played maybe an hour of it in 2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I looked at it and I'm like, man, this is like the melee combat. It's all the same shit. There's no variation. The tech tree is like, or whatever it is, the skill tree. Sorry, is way too much shit for something this simple. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I know it's like, I just don't see why they keep releasing it. And if they're going to, just do like a real overhaul on it. Yeah.
Well,
Like,
they did
there's a lot
an
of-
overhaul on the entire engine in that Starfield, and Starfield still you can see like the groundwork from their other games, and it just looks prettier.
I mean, I don't want it to look prettier. I just want some things to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I think it's just one of my biggest little like problems with it that it's really hard for me to get by, and I'm picking when I say this, is the fact that a lot of the magic just looks the fucking same, you know?
Yeah, it's just
And it
a
just-
ball in your
Same.
hand, but a different color.
It's just a ball in my hand in a different color, and I'm just not there for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something that Bethesda I think struggles with is combat in their games is super simplistic. The only time I could think it's not is maybe Doom.
But that's not even Bethesda. That's not Bethesda
even then,
Studios.
yeah.
That's id Software under like the Bethesda publishing.
Yeah, because I got totally
Exactly.
So it's not even. If you look
Yeah,
at just
everything-
like Bethesda Studios, like it is literally the most. Their games with guns are just point and shoot. Like there's no anything extra beneath it other than like stat increases and stuff, and like all their melee combat from Skyrim and in
Yeah.
Fallout is just walk up, press right trigger until it dies.
And I think after playing Mass
Mm-hmm.
Effect, like the first two, and I think I'm a quarter way through 3,
Yeah.
I thought the dialogue stuff was okay in Fallout 4, but I played Mass Effect, and I'm like, no bueno. You know what I mean?
Yeah, how come they were able to do that in 2007 and Fallout
Yeah.
4 came out a year after The Witcher 3 and is still horrible?
Yeah. And it's crazy, because Fallout 4 doesn't even look like that. Like, didn't it come out after the Arkham City?
It came
No,
out
sorry,
after Arkham Knight. Yeah.
Arkham
That's
Knight.
just
Like, it comes
the-
out after Arkham Knight.
That's just the
It's just
engine,
so
because the creation engine is not meant for high fidelity. Like, that's most of the things they changed for Starfield is, like, the lighting engine inside of it, versus, like, Arkham Knight was made on Unreal Engine, which Unreal, you know, if you're seeing...
No.
I mean,
I
Unreal
know
back
that.
then, like, Unreal 3 was good looking back then, and then now, you know, obviously Unreal 5 is fucking unreal to a way different extent now.
I just
But
think
yeah.
that there's the few good games that have, and it's a bit of a tough thing. There's the few good games that have come out like these past few years. I think we can all agree on a few of them, but most of them have just kind of been a really big letdown. You know?
Yeah, I can count on my hands, probably on one hand, the amount of like games that have left a lasting impression on me in like the last 2-3 years. And
That
Starfield is
aren't,
definitely
like-
not one of them.
That aren't like remastered.
Yeah,
I don't really
exactly.
count remastered games. You know what I mean?
I
don't know
wouldn't
if you
count
agree
that
with
either.
Stuart.
I think. I mean, Steven, if you would like to answer too, but like to me, my opinion on it is like there's a difference between a remake and a remaster. So like a remake, like Resident Evil 2 or the Demon Souls remake, is totally different than like Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, where it's just Darksiders 2, but they pumped it up a bit, versus like completely remaking the game from scratch, which I think does almost take it to that higher level as if it were a new game. You know what I mean?
And you can definitely see the difference, 100%.
Oh yeah, especially like Resident Evil 2 and 3. I think Resident Evil 4 is actually not that much different though, isn't it?
So if we're talking about like how the game looks and like the environment, it's not that different, but you can definitely feel the atmosphere and the way the combat is layered and grounded. You can definitely feel the remake within that, and it's definitely a remade game. It's
Yeah.
definitely a remake.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, stuff like
like-
that, or like the Dead Space remake that was totally like they, you know how they rebuilt it, like that. I'm more fine with. But then they just like Skyrim Anniversary Edition. It's Skyrim, but it's got like
It doesn't-
they just took
yeah.
a lighting engine that a modder had created and put it into the game.
That's amazing.
It's so hard for me to get into Skyrim, and I think that's, and I do contribute a lot of this to that of Fallout 4, and I think because I just rotted my brain with Fallout 4
I think
that I can't get into games like that.
the biggest thing about going back and playing older games, especially from like the 360 era and before, is the only reason to play them today, like in 2023, is to see what they had like given, or like what their potential was. You know, like if you go back
Like,
and play Mass Effect,
all
you're
the
going
hype
back and
was-
you're seeing this incredible story that is interconnected and expands across a series of 3 games, right? Or if you go back all the way to like, say like KOTOR, which has like that same kind of like thing with the storytelling and the RPG elements, or even like the classic like Gears of War and stuff like that with like the old school shooting and stuff, or classic Doom,
Yeah.
all the way back there. But you go back to Skyrim, and like there's so many games that have come out since then that do Skyrim better, or just make it kind of obsolete as far as RPGs go, you know?
Yeah. No, I check
Could we also bring up like the excuses we've been getting from a lot of game companies, like the
Dude.
talking about how Elden Ring is a unfair comparison for gaming nowadays?
Dude, Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, developers came out of the woodworks when Baldur's Gate 3 was so good, and they said, do not use this as the standard for gaming because this is unobtainable for most developers. And it's like, Baldur's Gate is made by like a AA studio. They're not even like this big AAA. I don't know if they are published by a bigger AAA thing, but they're like, they're not the biggest motherfuckers on the block.
Yeah.
And then like you got devs from like Ubisoft and EA being like, it's too much. Don't expect that from us. And it's like, why?
Like I'm not expecting like god tier, gaming shit, right? But like,
yeah, but it should work.
You're not
on day
even
one.
giving me something half as good at this point,
Yeah.
right? Like I get it. Maybe we shouldn't expect stuff like Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, right? But I'm at least expecting 3/4 to half as good as it is, and you just don't get that. You
even
get
look
a
at
pile of shit. And it's like, have fun, dip your hands in it, fucking rub yourself with it. I don't know.
Well,
you know
even
what I
look
mean?
at like the last few releases that a lot of these bigger studios have had. Like look at EA and like BioWare and DICE. Like what are the last like 4 big games they've had? Anthem, Battlefield 2042, Battlefield 5, and what was the other one that was really shit when it came out? And it's slipping my mind, but Battlefront 2.
Battlefront
Like
2?
Yeah, all these big games that like they hype up and it's going to be this big next big thing, and it's totally shit when it comes out. And it's like, we're not expecting you to revolutionize RPGs like Baldur's Gate 3 did, but you should definitely be playable on day one.
I think they should stop hyping it up. Yeah. I think they're having this issue where they hype something up so fucking much, and of course you hype it up to, like, look at No Man's Sky. Yeah, right?
Oh yeah.
They hyped it up to this fucking
they like
astronomical
overpromise.
amount. They overpromised or they overhyped it, right?
Well, that's
so
like,
of course you've got fans anticipating for something. So when it releases and it's not that, everybody's gonna shit on your game. You know what I mean?
That's where Starfield baffles me, because Starfield is doing like, that's Todd Howard's shtick, like 4 times the detail, 4 times the size of Fallout 4, and it's like there's not a single NPC in Fallout 76 when it launched. Or like Starfield, where he's like unparalleled exploration, but it's like you can't even do the stuff that you can do in No Man's Sky that you could do in No Man's Sky at launch in Starfield. Which is, I don't know, and it's weird to see people come up with excuses, because I think most of that, honestly, is fucking fanboys that let these studios get away with it because they did play Skyrim and they have that love for Bethesda. Where it's like, I've seen a lot of people, the take I've seen a lot for Starfield is, well, Starfield has all these NPCs and cities and stuff to do, whereas No Man's Sky is just blank empty worlds. And it's like the first gameplay I saw out of Starfield was a blank empty desert. Except for you can't walk across the whole world like you can in No Man's Sky.
But I think you're comparing what No Man's Sky wanted to be something different that Starfield was. You know what I mean?
It did, but
and I think it's like,
I'm comparing them in
Starfield.
the effect of their like space exploration, which Starfield was very big on like promoting, like Todd Howard saying we're gonna have unparalleled exploration in gaming, which is just not true. Like it's not.
I think
even remotely
I think you
close.
just shut the fuck up sometimes and just be like, show me the trailer, don't say anything, and I'll probably go, I might play that. But then I think that when I hear overhype, like I think the reason and I've kind of watched people play Baldur's Gate 3, and I think because I heard nothing about this game, and maybe just because it's like completely off my radar.
It was kind of a sleeper hit,
but but even like Mass Effect for me, that's been off my radar. Yeah. And it's like, I know it's old, right? And I go back and I play it, and I think that if one of you, like either of you or like Kyle or whatever, had sat there and just completely dick rode the series, right?
You wouldn't have played it.
These games are awesome. These games are great. I would have had this huge expectation, right?
Yeah.
And I would have sat in there, and I would have had nothing but bad things to say about it, right? So, and I think that's kind of where I stand. That if when I play, that's why I don't like. That's the big reason why I don't like Skyrim, because all I've heard from some of our, we can call them friends, other friends, right? Was how great Skyrim was. Yeah.
Yeah, there's never any flaws and stuff like that.
And then I play it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is not. I thought this was gonna be like a life-changing experience, you know?
Yeah.
So I've just learned not to trust people that recommend games me off nostalgia, or just recommend games me in a general. Like,
because you can't do it, because like when you're talking about games, they're so subjective and they have like so much small nuances to them, and if you don't highlight the bad things about them and you just fucking dick ride them, you like exactly what you're talking about. Like you set people's expectations high. Like if I said Mass Effect 3 was, or Mass Effect the series was like the most greatest RPG with awesome shooting and like all of this, you would expect something like fucking great, and then you'd get into it and you'd be like, oh, the shooting is not that great, which it isn't. The shooting is very much dated. Like Mass Effect 3 is the nicest it is, but it's still Mass Effect 3 is dated for shooting. And it's like you got to be kind of forthcoming with that. Like that's how I was about Ghost of Tsushima when I played it, where I was like, I really like it. The combat is fun and nice, and the story, I see what it's going for. I just don't think it hits that bar. Like it kind of only clicks after about 10 hours into the game, which it's really hard for me to say that a game has a good story if the story doesn't pick up until 10 hours in, you know?
Yeah.
But
So on this conversation, Steven, I want to get you involved in this a little bit if you're ever talking too much. What's like one game for you that you like? Skyrim was definitely for me. I don't know about Kyle. That was like overhyped as shit. You finally played it, and it like, and you think that the fact that people hyped it up ruined it for you.
Ooh.
Like, do you have a game that's like that?
I definitely do. Like, I'm trying to like think about my list right now.
Yeah, because I've got a few on my list, but I'd love to hear yours. If you can't think of one right now, we can kind of go back to.
I have two right off the top of my head.
I have another one.
Go
off
ahead.
my head. What's yours, Kyle?
My two.
Share while I think.
My two biggest one is Gears 5, because obviously I'm right in that fucking Gears of War community, and I was so excited for it, and it was so shit. And then the other one that I think is probably more surprising to people, Mario. Like, I've not played a lot of like Mario or like Nintendo games in general since like the new Super Mario Bros. Like on the Wii, and that was like my only really Nintendo game, like that and Smash Bros. And then like I got a Switch and I started getting more and more Nintendo games, and I was playing them. And every time I hear people talk about like Nintendo games, they're like, "Oh, it's the best. It's like the bar for platforming gaming, or for this and that." And then I play them, and I'm like, "It's all right." Like, but I feel like it's not as incredible as everyone says it is. I feel like a lot of that same shit happens like with Skyrim, where it's like Mario has been around since the 80s, so everyone thinks Mario and they think, oh yeah, it's the best of the best, but it's like, it's all right. It's just, it's not. Well, like,
I look at, if you want to look at like games like in terms of like a skill ceiling and a skill floor, Mario's kind of on the floor. That's kind of where you start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, everyone talks about it like it's the what do you call it? The maximum precipice for platforming games, but it's like, in reality, it's the bar. Like, if you're not Mario to begin with, you're not a platformer.
Like, I think one of my favorite platforming games that I played in a while is probably Celeste. I really enjoyed that one. I don't know if you could say, I consider it platforming. I don't know if you played it, Kyle.
I have not. I just downloaded recently Ori and the Blind Forest. I want to go through that. But no,
yeah, those are fun. Like, all that stuff is kind of fun. I don't know. I play Celeste. I think it's got a good story to it.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, there's a bug, baby. Sorry, my son's screaming about. There's a fly on the blankies.
Steven, do you have your?
So I've got maybe a hot take on here.
Okay, let's see it.
So this is coming off the game that came after it, so maybe that's why I don't have a love for this one.
Yeah.
I was not the biggest fan of Assassin's Creed 3. That one was overhyped for me.
That's kind of fair.
I feel that for all of the Assassin's Creed games.
I played Black Flag, and they're all kind of shit, you know?
I was gonna say, I played Black Flag before I played 3.
Oh,
and I think, I don't know if it was coming off similar mechanics that were just more polished and like better graphically going into Assassin's
I think that's
Creed
always how it works, right? Like, there's a lot of people in the Gears community that say Gears of War 1 is the best, and I'm like, how is this the best? But it's like, my first Gears game was Gears 2, and then I went from Gears 2 to Gears 3, and then I went back to Gears of War 1, and I'm like, how is Gears of War 1 the best? Like, this shit is clunky, and I still think it is. But it's like people who played Gears 1 first and then like upgraded. It's a totally different experience to like playing the brand new. Like, if your first Assassin's Creed game is like Assassin's Creed Unity, and then you go back and you play Assassin's Creed 2, I feel like you would not like Assassin's Creed 2 as much.
I don't even think for gameplay for me with Assassin's Creed. I think just Black Flag in my mind. Hi, baby. I think Black Flag for me was objectively just more fun than any other Assassin's Creed game I've ever played.
The ship stuff
Yeah.
is so fun.
The ship stuff is
It
fun.
is.
I did kind of like the story and like the characters.
Yeah.
Right?
I
think-
actually love
what I
the
mean?
characters in Black
Yeah.
Flag.
They got
Really?
really good, like, they take all of, like, the pirate, like, type people and do them well.
Like it feels, and also like like the scenes where you get out of the animus or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt maybe because I didn't understand anything about it then. Yeah. It was the first ever Assassin's Creed game that I ever played, but it felt kind of like the fact that I didn't really speak. You know what I mean?
It felt like you were just exploring.
Like I was like exploring through the thing. It was like a cool mystery, and I was reading stuff. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just felt really fun all around. And every Assassin's Creed game I play, like it just doesn't hit the. Sometimes like I like the the combat stuff of the older games, right?
Yeah.
But like I can't fuck with the new ones. They're so hard to. You know what I mean?
They're Assassin's Creed adjacent, but they're more of like, they're kind of like what they want to be Ghost of Tsushima, but they aren't, and like that's
Yeah.
where the newer games kind of fail for me. Is
Yeah.
like they're
You know
so
my
close,
one-
but they're also so far away.
You know my one hot take is here. If you guys want, Steven, you want to hear it?
Here,
The Witcher 3 is a game that I struggle so much to enjoy. Because
I
I think
get
I've
that.
only ever heard great things about it, and I played it, and I feel really
I think-
stupid with the combat. Yeah,
That one is just in line with like Skyrim, about people like saying, or Skyrim, like Mario, like I said, was saying like that people only ever say good things about it, but it's like The Witcher 3 has a lot of problems. It's very slow. The combat it's not bad, but it can get repetitive if you don't know what you're doing, and the game doesn't explain it to you.
I think for me with the combat, right?
Yeah.
Is it? So we've talked about this before, and maybe you can agree with this, and Steven, that the combat, and we're going to talk about another game quickly for this. The combat in For Honor makes me feel. I know, like I fucking suck at it, but when I'm doing shit, it makes me feel cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Like I do some like dope shit, and I like feel badass. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
I play The Witcher 3, and I'm fighting these enemies, and I'm just swinging a fucking sword around them. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Like I don't feel
with the combat,
somebody that's trying to master a weapon, or is the master of a weapon. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
with the
sorry.
with the combat of For Honor, I think what makes it stick is you have to be engaged with it. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can't turn your brain off.
And I think that when I'm playing somebody like Geralt or Rivia, who's supposed to be this fucking The Witcher, like some like monster hunter. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Supposed to be a skilled dude, and I'm just sitting here swinging around a sword. I don't feel the skill for me. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I don't feel the skill of pressing a few buttons and doing other shit. Like you can do, I'm sure there's other shit that you can do, but I think just the fact that to swing the sword, it's like one button, maybe two. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't feel the skill there. I don't
I
feel
think
like
you'd
I'm
like.
cool as
They've
hell.
recently done like a anniversary update type thing for The Witcher 3, where they added in a bunch of changes and stuff, like stuff that they cut from the original game that they've like gone back and like redone, right?
yeah.
In The Witcher 3, like last year, when like what season of the Netflix show came out, but they went through and they redid it, and they changed the combat up so that it is more fluid. So instead of like classic Witcher is very like, or classic Witcher 3 is like classic RPG type thing, where every time you want to do something, you have to go into a weapon wheel or your inventory to get it out and then use it, right? Versus
Yeah.
like in the update they've changed it so that you can use all of your spells and abilities without pulling up the weapon wheel. Like it's all built
I
into the
think that's-
controls.
It's like destructive. Like anything with like a weapon wheel, to me, and I
Because
know
it takes
that
you
I'm
out of it
nitpicking.
immediately.
It takes me out of it and it rips me out of it, and I think that's why when I sit there and I praise For Honor a lot for its combat, I know it's like a very simple thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's just I don't know. I really hate For Honor because I'm really bad at it. But
Well, I'd
I
say-
do enjoy just sitting there and kind of like I don't know. You feel cool.
That's another thing I would say
Um,
about the combat in a game like Fallout or Skyrim versus like look at God of War, where like in Fallout, if I'm fighting somebody and I need to take out my other gun, I either need to have it already preset in the quick menu, or I have to pull up my
Yeah.
Pip-Boy, go to my weapons, find it, equip it, whatever. Versus like God of War, you're in the middle of flow of combat and you just switch to the Blades Chaos, and then you just switch to the axe, and then you just switch to the spear, and it's like seamless, and it's just right there while you're fighting.
Unironically, would think that what I think would make Fallout 4 more fun for combat.
Yeah.
Where's Grandma? Is that sorry?
Yeah, you're
is
good.
That fucking is if when you pulled the pit boy, if the game didn't stop, yeah. Like if you had to, because it feels kind of like it's my same thing. And I say this about Breath of the Wild with somebody, right? Is that if I need to heal or something, I just open up my menu and I pause the whole game. Yeah.
It would be cool if it was more of like that kind of hectic of like whenever you play a game like Apex or like a Battle Royale where you have that inventory and you have to pull it up mid-fight and you're like kind of like struggling to like reach through this backpack and pull some shit. Like that's how like I recently played Last of Us Part 1, and that's how that is. Like if you have the wrong gun equipped, you have to be like, fuck, I'm being chased by zombies, I need my shotgun, I need to have the time to set my backpack down and pull out the right gun.
It adds more to that tense situation. Right?
Yeah, versus just
like it's pulling me out of something.
Yeah, just pause game.
And it's like
Last of Us is a really good example of that because there's also an upgrade system for your quick inventory.
Yeah.
And it makes you want to go after that. And I think that's a really good example of like the pressure of wanting something like that.
Yeah, it makes something like that like useful. So it like gives you an incentive to reach out and grab it.
Yeah,
and then from Last of Us, I wanted to ask because I know Steven, you are quite a fan of various horror video games. I know we were talking about Dead by Daylight and Resident Evil, but those aren't really horror games, I don't think. I mean, Resident Evil hits the line a few times. Dude, Nicolas Cage makes me shit my pants. But like,
dude, it's kind of scary when the K-pop star pops around the corner and like, oh my God, touch me in my little bum, you know?
Dude, that'd be so fun. But like, I'm more just talking about like traditional horror games, you know, like Alien Isolation, Outlast, that kind of thing. I just wanted to ask, like, what do you guys think makes a good horror game, or like what is the best one that exists right now?
Ooh, that is a good topic to go on. For me, what makes a good horror game is, for a lot of people, dying in a horror game is kind of what takes them out of the immersion. You know what I mean? Or like a way to fail.
Yeah.
And I think a perfect video game, especially for a horror game, and why I like Resident Evil so much, is if you are barely able to scrape by. And I've always loved Resident Evil because, to me, and also Last of Us kind of does the same thing, the way you manage your resources in those games is kind of where the scare is. It's not with what you're actually interacting with. It's more like, am I going to have enough to do this?
Yeah.
There's that tension of like fighting it out versus like in something like Outlast where it's just run away and hide. And then run away and hide. It's like, I can run away and hide, but if things go south, do I have what I need in order to take it on, you know?
Absolutely. And I think probably the best horror game right now is, like you mentioned, Alien Isolation. That monster is a perfect mix, in that game is a perfect mix of, I know I can't fuck this thing up. I know I have to be smart about this. It's a lot of hiding.
Yeah.
I do have the option to fight back, but it's temporary. It's not a solution.
I also even think, like, but with like the androids, and because I played Alien Isolation, I love that game. Even like the androids, you kind of get in the room and you're like, okay, can I fight them? You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, do I have the ammunition or whatever to take these guys down?
Mm-hmm.
I think my biggest issue with Alien Isolation, and maybe this is just a very niche me thing, but I feel a lot more horrified when I don't know what something is. You know what I mean?
Obviously.
Right?
Yeah, that's like horror 101.
Like Alien Isolation was really spooky when I couldn't, like, I've always said I know what the alien looks like. Like, in my mind. You know what I mean? I'm like,
you know what I think Alien Isolation does really well? The fact that the alien is like constantly moving around and shit, you know, I think what it does is it turns it into like the Predator scenes from Batman, but instead of Batman, you are one of the thugs who's just like walking around and like
Yeah.
Like, you are like the dude just walking around, and you hear something like get knocked up in the corner, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And then you just hear like wisps of shit above you, right? I was gonna throw up Alien Isolation anyways. I haven't played it. I've seen loads of people play it, obviously. I've seen you play it, Steven. And like, I only was thinking about it because I saw a thing recently talking about how the AI for the alien actually works in the game, which is, you know how it's got the audio, like the alien can hear you, right?
Yeah.
So the AI, the way it works, or it's designed to work in the game, is the AI has two brains. One brain knows where the player is at all times. It always knows. So if you stand still for too long, it knows where you are and it's going to come get you. And the second brain doesn't know, but it can hear you. So the first brain will hear it and then feed that crumb into the second brain. So the second brain gets a better idea where you are. So it triangulates your position based on things that it finds, using the information from the first brain, which is fucking fantastic.
I think I heard something about how the alien's AI is also learning and adaptive.
Yeah, so if you do a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, if it checks a hiding spot, it's gonna start checking other hiding spots when it comes back.
Versus a game like Outlast, where you get like the pig boy and he just like walks around and he checks every single locker until he happens to find the one that you're in. Like, the alien will go around, it'll check a locker, it'll be like, not in there, it'll close it, and then it'll go check under the bed, and then it'll go check the other locker, and then it'll go and check this one. Or like, if you go from level to level and if you're hiding in a locker and it finds you, it'll go for the lockers first because it thinks that you're going to be hiding in a locker.
Well, and that's like that's what I enjoy about it, because it feels like I'm playing against another player.
Yeah, it's smart. Yeah.
Like, it's not like, this is why I can never get a Resident Evil, because eventually I'm like, okay, these are just bots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's a pattern here at some point. And when I play Alien Isolation, I kind of, you know what I mean? It's even like Hello Neighbor for me for a lot of... It's like a weird one to say. It's like it's a spooky game, but it's challenging because if I keep getting caught somewhere, right, then he kind of hard focuses over there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or he'll board up windows and stuff. Like, the AI is really good for that game.
Yeah. I think...
Hold on a minute. Yeah. Keep going.
What do you call it? The best way I could think to explain it is like Alien Isolation. The AI for the alien is what the killer in Dead by Daylight should be. You know, like, it's constantly learning and it's using clues cleverly to figure out where you are. Versus Dead by Daylight is controlled by people, so they're kind of fucking stupid, or they just take advantage and they kind of just, you know, do the most bullshit, easiest route possible available to them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Steven? Sorry, continue, Steven.
What I found interesting about Alien Isolation is, I know I talked about where it's like, you know, you barely scrape by in a lot of games, and I think that's like really important. Alien Isolation was hard. It was really fucking hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
So in that, I would say I died a lot pretty early, but me dying early is kind of what helped me learn what to do later on.
Yeah, like, it's this whole, I definitely agree with you, but even, I think I might have a gripe with it here and there when I'm playing it. What that is, if somebody asks me to play a horror game, that game specifically is what I'll usually lead them to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Outlast or anything else does it as good. There's only one game that kind of scares me more, but that's situational, and that's Friday the 13th. Yeah. There's something both funny and horrifying knowing that I can have an open dialogue with the killer. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
There's something entertainingly smashing in the windows. He's like, "Come out here, here, little man."
See,
you know?
so that sentence alone is so funny to me, because my only experience with Friday the 13th is clips I've seen on TikTok of this dude who he's just this pale white dude in leopard print underwear who just runs up to Jason, slaps him in the face, and starts like dancing to California Girls, and then runs off. So like, when you say that game is scary on par with Alien Isolation, I don't know, I can't picture it.
Definitely not on par, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, most of the time it's really funny, but there's like certain moments, right, when I'm like I'm hiding in a house and I finally plead with Jason to leave, and then he leaves and I sit there and I'm like, I don't know if he's actually fucking gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right?
You know what?
Like, And I think it causes a little bit of tension in me because I don't know if I can trust this person. You know?
Yeah, they're just lying out their teeth. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
you know what? I think the scariest moments that I remember in games, maybe not scariest, but like the most tense I remember, was playing like the first couple hours of any Far Cry game before you realize that the AI was stupid. Like playing Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4 back when they came out, when I was like younger and I didn't understand all like the little nuances about games and stuff, when you didn't know that like the AI were actually stupid and you can walk in front of them and they won't see you. I would like, I played those games so fucking sweaty because like you would kill one dude. You would spend 15 minutes to kill one dude, stab him in the back, and you'd be like, did anyone see that? Anyone hear that? Versus like today, I'll play a game like Ghost of Tsushima and I'll like snipe a dude in the head from halfway across the map, jump down, assassinate a dude, get into the bush right next to him, and then just like quickly call the other dude over. And it's like, that tenseness it feels completely gone from that genre. And I wish there was a game that was able to like bring that back, where it's like you really do feel like if you make the slightest sound that everyone in the base knows you're there, and now you have to fight for your life.
The only game that I remember giving me a tense feeling when I was younger was Destiny 1. When you're on the Cosmodrome and you're going to that little hive spot, it's where like the all the lights go out, and you've got your ghost to give you the light. Yeah, and there's like the fucking hive fuckers, whatever they're called, can't remember.
Dude.
Right?
Yeah.
Run at you, and that was like when I was like, God, what would I?
Do you
have
remember
been, like 13 or something? And I was like shitting my pants, or I was horrified. Like I like almost stopped playing the game because of that.
Yeah, I feel that. I was gonna say, do you remember when every old game just had a obligatory horror segment out of nowhere? Like Halo had it and Gears of War had it. Like Halo has like the Flood mission in Halo 2, where like the very first mission is you as Master Chief blowing shit up in Africa, right? You're having a good time, you're riding a tank, and then the very next mission you're seeing elites and like the aliens getting ripped apart by the Flood, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? And Gears of War did that same thing. Where it's like the first mission, you're shooting Locust, it's fun. The second mission, you're in a tomb with a berserker. It can't see you, but it can hear you, and it's coming for your ass. And it's like, where did this come from? Where did the energy come from here?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Okay, so Steven, I got a few more questions for you here. So this is kind of something that I think Kyle and I have talked about in private. But what keeps bringing you back to For Honor?
Oh, what keeps bringing me back in the For Honor?
Like obviously, I'm assuming you're going to say the combat. Does it go deeper than that, or is it just the fact that the combat's so unique?
It's the abusive relationship I love.
So it's like Stockholm
I
syndrome.
just keep coming back. Yeah.
You have too much invested.
That's fair. Do you ever feel like you have to keep playing For Honor because you invested so much time into it that you feel like you'd wasted if you just like walked away?
Honest to God, yeah. Sometimes I do sit there and I'm like, I have invested so much time, and not a lot. I'm not gonna say it's the game I've spent the most money in, but I have spent some money in it, so there is like a financial obligation.
I feel that exact same way every time I load up Siege, or I think about like deleting it off my Xbox. Like back before I was paying all my bills and shit or whatever when I was still living with my parents, but I was like getting money and I was like just being like, oh, I have an extra $300 to spend, I'm gonna drop it on Siege, you know, like that kind of like bullshit. Right when I started working, and now all the time I'll like load up Siege and I'll like look at it and I'll be like, I have 15 elite skins, like that's like $250 right there at least. And then I'll be like, I want to delete it, and then I'm like, I've spent so much money on this game, like I might as well just like keep it around and then like play it every once in a while, you know? Like I feel like I've given too much of myself to it. Same thing with like Gears. Like I got a fucking Baird right here behind me. Like I can't give up on the series now after 15 years of abuse and fucking ball torture.
Yeah, there's something keeping me coming back. You know what I think it is for me? I promised myself that I would have a rep 70 cent, and it's not there yet. So I gotta get it done.
Hey man, start grinding. The next question I had, actually, Soulsborne games. I mean, obviously we know like the obligatory answer is that like Bloodborne is the best Soulsborne game, right? Like that's generally the agreed upon norm. Whether or not you think Elden Ring is like super fundamentally like changing for the formula. But Bloodborne is obviously like the accepted like the best, as at least as far as From Software goes.
That's really hard to say. I want to say I agree with you, but there are there are a lot of arguments for everything on
I think it
that
depends
From
on
Software.
what you're playing the game for. Like Elden Ring is obviously better in exploration and kind of like world. Well, I don't know about world because it's kind of subjective, but versus like Bloodborne, everything I hear about it in the very, very tiny amounts I've tried to get into it is like the fact that it's like the most insistent upon its own formula as far as those games go. Like it cares the most about it.
Love Bloodborne. Yeah.
There you go.
I fucking love Bloodborne. I think
You know
it
what's-
does everything it does great, and I'm not trying to overhype it here. It's still a frustrating game, don't get me wrong. But it's one of those games like with like how the weapon system works, and there's not a lot of weapons. It's not like it's like a different kind of formula almost. Right? It feels different. I just feel cooler. You know what I mean? I'd
So
almost say the
here's-
combat system fits kind of like the area that it's in, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Here's what I'm thinking is Elden Ring better than Sekiro?
Ooh.
No.
See, but like the minute Elden Ring came out, I feel like Sekiro was almost abandoned by the entire like Soulsborne
Yeah, but I've
community.
got some huge fucking gripes with Elden Ring. Yeah.
The lobsters?
Some of the moves the bosses don't feel fucking blockable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like unlike maybe Dark Souls, yeah, and whatever else, right? That I've played. I don't know if you can agree with me on this one, Steven. I feel like before I was ramming my head against like Dark Souls 3. When I played it, I feel like I'm ramming my head against the wall. Yeah, but I feel like I'm learning something when I ram my head against the wall. There are certain bosses like what's his name? Steven, you played Elden Ring, right?
I've played almost all the FromSoft games.
Like what is it, like Rudon or whatever, the guy that sits on the horse that is really big, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did certain, I can't remember what the moves were, but some of it felt like there's nothing I could do. You know what I mean? Right? And it almost
Like it's
came down
unfair.
for me to I actually felt like a lot in other Souls games or whatever. I felt like, okay, I died and that's my fault. I just have to figure this out and be better. Right? Don't be sorry, be better. You know?
Yeah.
Where I played, there's certain moments in Elden Ring where I was like, no, this is just fucking stupid. Yeah? You know what I mean? And maybe I'm a little piss baby for that. I don't know, but
So do you think Elden Ring is too open-ended then?
Sort of, yeah. I think adding the jump is kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it just, like, I don't know, man. It's like,
That is a really hard question, I would say.
what, is Sekiro better than Elden Ring?
Yeah.
I think Sekiro's combat is fun.
I think it's also a problem
So
of like you're asking like is Apex Legends better than Titanfall? Because like they're different, they're fundamentally like different games. Like Apex is a battle royale, multiplayer focused. Like Titanfall is very movement, almost campaign focused. Plus it has the
But
multiplayer.
I feel like though, like, yeah, I think you're kind of right on that. It's a hard thing to go after. But I do have a lot of gripes with Elden Ring. Not a game that I wish to
Okay,
get back into.
here's the next thing I have then. What is the best Soulsborne game that's not from software?
Like games that kind of have inspiration from Souls
That
games.
that are like that style, like Star Wars, Jedi, Remnant from the Ashes, Mortal Shell, Lords of the Fallen, all of those types of games that are like
Okay, well, what
it's
are you
very obviously Dark
classifying
Souls, but it's just its own thing.
Okay, because I haven't really played anything else that isn't. Like the closest thing I can get to
So-
a game that's hard, that like kind of functions like a Soulsborne game with like the campfires and the bosses and everything is probably Hollow Knight. But I don't think it's close enough to say it's a Soulsborne game. Yeah,
Fair.
God, dude. Hollow Knight is a good
it is fun.
a good example for that. What kind of sucks is I've only really played Fallen Order, so I can't really like say a lot. But what I have heard a lot of people talk about is they think God of War might be a game that took a lot of like inspiration with combat from Soft, and that might be like not a Soulsborne game, but it it did a really
It-
good job with a similar style.
It definitely has that feeling of like the combat is entirely like parries, blocks, and then like your heavy and light attacks, and then a few special moves.
Hmm.
God of War has
Yeah,
such good gameplay. I'm so happy. This is entirely off topic. Ben, have you seen that they're making a Last Ronin game, TMNT?
I think I've heard about it. I'm super. It sounds like I heard about it, and I think that sounds hype as shit. Yeah.
So they're making a TMNT Last Ronin game, and reportedly the developers said they're basing the combat on it off of the most recent God of War games.
Dude, that's so hype. And you
Which-
want to know why that's so hype?
Yeah,
And it's because it's the last run. I can't wait to see Michelangelo rock Leonardo's sword. You know
yeah,
what
that's
I
what
mean?
I was thinking.
Right?
Like the way the way I guess it would be is that they're gonna do it exactly the same as God of War, where you switch between the weapons, but it's you switch between the 4 turtles' weapons.
Yeah.
You know, which would be so fucking cool. But anyways,
I wonder if it's going to start off as it's like hearing. I have a few theories where the story is going to go off, but I don't know if we want to talk about that right now or save that.
we can
I
save
don't know,
that for when
Steven,
the game
see
we
what
actually
you
know
think
what the game is.
I mean, we can just make predictions.
Here's another big like fighting game type thing. Mortal Kombat 1 is about to come out in about a week or two.
Yeah,
Have you guys seen anything about that?
I
I'm trying to
remember
keep it
I
off
was
my.
wanting the.
I mean, we had a conversation about it on the podcast already, but Steven, are you interested at all in Mortal Kombat 1? I remember you played MK11 a lot with me.
I played MK11 a lot, and I actually did enjoy. I enjoyed MK10 and 11 a lot more than I thought I was going to. I'm not a
Yeah.
huge fighting game guy, but I've played Tekken, I've played Mortal Kombat. I'm happy, and this is like a little. I don't know if it's just like my theater experience coming through. They're keeping the voice actor for Johnny Cage consistent, and I don't know why that makes me so happy, but it does.
It's so good. I don't think anybody else could do it the same way.
He's got a
works.
pretty classic voice, yeah.
Okay, so speaking of Mortal Kombat, Steven, I want to throw you by a guest character that I think that would work perfectly in Mortal Kombat. All right,
Hit me
and I
with
think
it.
that's Shredder. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be such a badass guest character. Yeah,
Yeah.
This is
I agree.
actually a great question. Actually, Steven, who do you think would make the best Mortal Kombat guest character?
The best Mortal Kombat guest character.
and
Or
why
just a
is it
good
not-
one, at least.
And why is it not?
Why is it not what?
Why is it not Homelander?
Oh. Yeah, I'm not excited for that.
No, I'm not either.
So, Mortal Kombat has a huge trope about picking, like, classic, slasher characters, and I
It's-
think that
yeah.
steering away from that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, but I think they also have a theme, right? You know, like they do a theme every game. Yeah, and I think, like, I'm trying to figure out. You know, actually, so side note, what you think about it? You know what I think this Mortal Kombat 1's theme is going to be?
Superheroes.
Anti-heroes.
Maybe that too, yeah. Because MKX, it was horror villains like Predator, Alien, Jason. Leatherface.
Yeah.
MK11, it was classic action hero like movies
With
like
Joker.
Terminator, RoboCop, Rambo.
Yeah.
The fact that it's Homelander and Omni-Man, and the leak says Doom Guy, I think anti-heroes is probably not a bad.
Well, Peacekeeper's also in it, so it's hard to
Peacekeeper
judge,
2, who
right?
is also an anti-hero. Yeah.
And Harley Quinn is in it, isn't she?
Oh yeah, Harley Quinn is the other leak.
So that's where I'm getting. That's where I'm getting the anti-hero thing from.
Yeah, because those are all anti-heroes. I mean, except for Homelander, because he's just a bitch boy. But all of the rest of them are anti-heroes. Or at
I
some
think
point or another.
Homelander, in my mind, would fit more into an anti-hero category.
He
right?
is
But
not.
if
He's not at all an anti-hero.
He's nothing, but he fits. If we're gonna put him in a category, like out of what we talked about before you released your one hero video of symbols, heroes, and anti-heroes, right?
Yeah, I don't think he fits in anything.
I
Because
don't
he
think
doesn't
fits in
even.
anything, but
Because like Homelander's thing is like he's not doing a good thing for the wrong reason. He's just fucking a narcissist.
yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
So, you know who I think might be fun to see in a Mortal Kombat game? This will be an interesting, I think, take.
Okay.
Could you imagine Voss from Far Cry 3 being in a Mortal Kombat game?
Do you know what's funny? Is he totally beats the Kano skin. Yeah.
Do you think Voss or Jason after he kills Voss?
No, I think that
Because I almost want to see Jason when he's got like the wild, like spiky hair and the big bug eyes, like that Jason, just like the Joker.
Dude, I think it'd be fucking dope.
I could see I could see Jason in Mortal Kombat with the dragon knife. That would be kind of cool.
Okay, hold on, real quick. No Far Cry talk. No more Far Cry.
Look, we're gonna talk.
We're gonna go down a bad hole.
We got our one photo for the day. I just want a fucking manhole cover. Yeah.
Oh god, that would be so fun.
That'd be so fun.
I'd love to see superheroes that are like normally aren't like violent just in Mortal Kombat, just to like let them loose, you know? Like I want to see Spider-Man in a Mortal Kombat game just so we can get like that fucking comic where what the fuck is his name? Octoman?
Dr. Octopus.
Dr. Octopus. Oh, why is that somehow less? Yeah, somehow it's stupider than Octoman.
Dr. Octopus takes over Spider-Man's body and they switch.
Yeah, and he like breaks the Scorpion's jaw or whatever because he doesn't realize how strong Spider-Man is. I'd like to see something like that.
I think a better take, maybe this is because I'm an absolute comic book nerd, but if we're going to talk two superheroes I'd love to see, I think the Assassin Spider-Man and like the Flashpoint Batman. Yeah.
I'm not sure about the Assassin. I don't know what that is.
It's like Spider-Man, but he becomes an assassin. The whole thing.
I guess it wasn't the name. I don't know. I think there's so many cool superheroes that would make for. I just want to see them like let loose in like a Mortal Kombat setting, like not Injustice, because Injustice is like cool and all, but like you don't get to see stuff that you normally don't get to see. You know, like I think that's what's cool about seeing like Omni-Man in Mortal Kombat and shit like that. But like it would be cool to see like Wolverine or. I had another one in mind, but I totally lost it right now. But I'm unironically watching this Subway Surfer shit that I have pulled up for the audience. I'm getting lost.
So I think an interesting topic or like something to talk about might be is there any like cameo in a video game you guys could think of that like stunned you or weirded you out or just didn't feel natural?
Every guest character in Gears 5. They threw in Halo, they threw in Terminator, and they threw in some WWE wrestlers in bright pink, yellow, and blue outfits, and not a single one of those fit well with the game at all.
You know what was a weird one for me?
Yeah.
They added, and I'm not even like a fan of The Walking Dead, but they added the Negan from The Walking Dead into Tekken, the fighting game. And that was the most out of place.
I'll do you one better. You know what's a weird crossover for me is The Walking Dead Magic the Gathering cards. Because imagine that playing field. You have your Magic characters, right? You have like the lion, whatever, dude. You have the lady with the fire hair. You got all these different like fantastical things. Maybe some D&D shit in there too. You know, you got all that, and then in the corner, on the very edge of the battlefield is just Carl. I gotta get a Carl, and he's just Rick Grimes with the shit beat out of him with his fucking Colt 45. Like that is some shit that baffles me, you know. It's like playing Skyrim, but then like picking up like a Darth Vader outfit, you know.
Speaking of crossover,
is that a crab with a top hat? This is too much. Come on, Master Chief, let's get the fuck out of here. You know, it's like got that energy to it.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Me?
Yeah, you had something.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know. How long have we been recording for?
We just crossed the hour mark.
Hell yeah.
Dude, hell yeah.
Hoorah!
Dude, but hoorah! I think Doom Guy would be really fun. I don't know. I think I kind of had to mute myself for a minute because I had to go do something. So I came back to Rick Grimes and Magic the Gathering. So,
oh yeah, we were talking about
I think
like out of place cameos. You know what's one that I'm thinking of right now was. Do you remember like the creepers in Borderlands?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, was it Borderlands 2? It had a room that was just full of like creepers from Minecraft, just because.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird Minecraft cameos back when it was popular.
Yeah, and it's like there was a lot of stuff in games back then that I feel like we just don't see anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's more of like, it's an Easter egg and not so much like a cameo type thing, but like you can find like the Dovahkiin helmet in Hell in Doom 2016. And there's like a lot of, I feel like I haven't seen anything like that anymore in games, unless it's a reference to itself, you know, like Assassin's Creed games featuring Ezio again or something like that, you know.
There he goes. But I definitely agree with that, because you know what the vibe for me that comes across why we don't see that anymore? It feels like companies are so scared of lawsuits now and any kind of copyright break.
I think it's not so much lawsuits as much as it is games are already rushed to begin with. So like having devs have the extra time to throw in some extra random bullshit is too much for them already. And it's like most of the time I feel like games, if they do a crossover thing, it's not a, oh look, this is a nice little cameo Easter egg thing we did. It's a, oh no, here's a $20 pack for you to buy, right? Like they put it on full display so they could charge you for it, rather than it was just, back in the day, it was just a nice little throwaway joke or whatever in the corner of the screen.
I mean, hey, if you guys share with your friends and you guys liked me enough, maybe they'll bring me back if it's popular enough.
Yeah, we'll see what the fan says.
Dude, probably bring you back.
Let's see. I don't know if he's. I don't know if this is Ben. Do you think Steven deserves a second chance on the podcast? Do you think?
A second chance.
I think this might have been one of our best. Personally, I think this might have been one of our best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a different vibe that we don't usually like. This is one of our low energy streams, and not one of our low energy streams where we're both Kyle and I are like, you know what I mean? But I definitely think that this is like, at some point, it's totally sounded like a radio show. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Back in. I think it's a really good thing. I think that we were constantly kind of flowing with the conversation, right? Sorry, Steve.
We
can save the notes for after the podcast. For anyone still listening, thank you very much for listening.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about what we're going to do next time off the air. Thank you very much for watching. And, go fuck yourselves.